This video is going to show you how to use Pixlr Editor, and it will show you how to edit any photo that you might need to edit. This box is going to be the first thing that pops up when you go into Pixlr Editor. You're going to click on Open Image from Computer, and from here your drive will pop up. You're going to go into My Drive, and then whatever folder you saved your image into, and then you can either double click on your photo or click on it and click Open at the bottom. And then once your photo uploads, we are going to go View Full Screen Mode because we want to make this nice and big. We'll slide our boxes over to the right hand side so you have extra space to make your photo even bigger so you can zoom in and see it nice and clear. To zoom in, you're going to use the Navigator tool. These are the three boxes we always want to have open: Navigator, Layers, and History. The Navigator tool, we can click and drag this little white box here to zoom in and out of our photo. When we zoom in, you can click on this red box then in the Navigator box, and it will help move around to where you want to be. Then you can zoom out so you see just your whole picture. Layers is where you're going to want to be selected on whatever layer you're editing at the time. And then History I'll show you how to use in a second, but it's the easiest way to step back after you do something that you didn't want to do, and you can undo something. The other thing that you will want to know in case your image comes in and it is a different rotation, so maybe it's sideways and it needs to be straight up and down, so you can go to Image, Rotate, and rotate your canvas 90 degrees either clockwise or counterclockwise. And then the other thing that you are always going to want to kind of play around with and see if you need to cut off any of your edges is this crop tool right here underneath the tools box. It says crop tool, and what it does is it shows you this little plus sign with your cursor. You're going to click and drag it over the part of your art that you want to save. So whatever is not in this big box here is going to be cut off. So I can click by these blue boxes and resize it. I'm going to make this one just a little bit more square around it, and then I can click off to the side of the image. It will ask me if I want to apply the changes, and I can click yes, and then it will crop it down. Then I can work in some of my adjustments. Under the Adjustments tab, the first three things here are things that I would want to play around with and see if I can do any of them to make changes in my work of art. So the first one here is brightness and contrast. So it either makes it super bright or super dark. We don't want to do one extreme of any one of those things, but I'm going to make this just a tad darker. And then the contrast makes your brights brighter and your darks darker. So this is something that, again, you can go super extreme, but we don't want to necessarily go too extreme, but just a little bit to help our colors pop a little bit more. Then you can go to Adjustment, Hue and Saturation. The hue kind of plays around with some of the different colors, your different color choices here. There's some red leaves in here that I would like to have popped out just a little bit more. And saturation is also going to kind of create either kind of a warmer color and bring out your colors. And then the lightness again is going to adjust kind of the brights or the darks again. Then the last one is under Adjustments is Color Balance. So if you they have red offset, green offset, and blue offset. So if you have any one of those colors that you really want to have popped, so like in this image there are some brownish reddish leaves that I would like to stand out just a little bit more, so I'm going to bring up the red a little bit so they pop out. I can also kind of up maybe a little bit of the green, so the greens and the reds are really popping out. And then you can play around with the blue as well. Then I can also play around with some of these filters. Some of them totally distort your original image, so if that's something that you want to do for editing a photo, you can do that. In this case, we want to make sure we still see our original photo. So one that you could still play around with is this vignette or vignette, which adds these dark corners to your photo. Sometimes depending upon your photo and what you want it to look like. A nice soft, kind of the black corners could be nice. And then click OK. And then the last tool I want to show you is the Band-Aid tool. It looks like a Band-Aid. It is called the, I think, Spot Healing Brush Tool or something similar to that. When you click on it, it looks like a Band-Aid. I'm going to zoom in here and use one of my rocks up here to show you how, and then I can change the size of my brush up here under size to make it a little bit bigger. See this little dark area here of the rock? I'm going to click over that and then it'll disappear a little bit. I'll do it again over here so you can see how that looks. And then it will, once it catches up with me, it will disappear. This works really well if you're editing a photo of a person and they have blemishes. You would not want to click in an area like this grass and click it into the rock, because that will copy part of the grass area into your rock and make it kind of funky and blurry. So then I can go into my history over here and click on the step above it, and it will step back to undo what I just did. And then I can step back even more to bring back those different blemishes in my rock. When you're done editing your photo and it is exactly what you want it to look like, you can then go to File, Save, and you can save it into My Computer. Once this loads down here where it says Working, Please Wait, you can click OK. Sometimes it doesn't work and you have to hit cancel, and then you need to exit out of full screen mode and then go into File, Save, and then sometimes for some reason it works better once you are out of full screen mode, and then it will still take a second to load, and then you can click OK. And then you want to make sure that you are saving into My Drive, so it can be in a specific folder, but make sure that's highlighted on this side. A lot of you will see your drive here in a Downloads folder. Make sure you're selected on My Drive or into a specific folder. And then you can also rename your file here, so I can title it something more specific that I would be able to find later. And then I can click Save. And then I'll be able to find this in my Google Drive when I need to go look for it.